Last night, Donald Trump talked for an hour and 40 minutes in his first major speech since Inauguration Day. It was, per usual, a lot. Let's break down the key takeaways from last night. Howdy, I'm Catherine Mengue Ward, editor-in-chief of Reason, the magazine of free minds and free markets, and I am here with Matt Welsh, editor-at-large at Reason. Hi, Matt.
Hi, boss.
So, last night was A, norm-shattering nightmare, B, just a regular State of the Union blab, or C, a glorious celebration of the fact that America is back. Which one?
Yes is the answer to all of that, all of the above, as per usual with Donald Trump. The thing to always realize when looking at a State of the Union is that they get longer and less consequential with each passing year. Let's not forget that 1 year ago, the nation's chattering class was talking about how this really proved that all that talk about Joe Biden's cognitive decline was just wrong. He was back, baby, stronger than ever.
Greatest
Look it
speech
up.
ever given. I remember that
March
commentary.
2024 is incredible. And Trump too, like in his first 2017 speech, who remembers him talking about how we're going to back NATO strongly? It's a strong and very important alliance, and he was said nice words about Justin Trudeau. Uh, literally, he did, and was also bragging on the performance of the stock market, which for some reason he neglected to do yesterday.
Why is that?
I don't know. I think it's because there was nothing to brag about. The Of all of the things that he said, much of it will immediately forgotten. We're going to balance the budget. No, you're not. No one believes it. Not a single person. That free speech is back, baby. Nope, you're not doing that. That's not what you're doing at all. But there's a couple of lines in there that I thought were stuck out. Some good and interesting, and some that I think will come back to haunt him. And I will stress the haunt one, especially he talked about in the middle of a lot of different moments of enthusiasm for tariffs. He wants to be tariff man, like his historical crush, William McKinley. He said, we are going to make America affordable again.
As president, I'm fighting every day to reverse this damage and make America affordable again.
My dude, no, you are not. And I think that'll be a little clip that people will be playing as eggs continue to be, except for those of us who have heeded the advice of the administration and begun our own chicken cages in the backyard, eggs will continue to be expensive. And that prediction will turn out to not be true. But Catherine, surely you, as an editor of a libertarian publication, must have sat back and absolutely loved the insult comedy sketch about Social Security payment to 174-year-olds.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing, right? Like, if you had said to me, "Hey, what if the president gave a speech that was just it's like a huge chunk of it was just a list of cuts, just like federal government business that we were gonna stop doing," I would have been very excited. And there was a bunch of stuff in his list that I was like, "Yeah, we should probably cut that." Like, I don't know why we're funding Arab Sesame Street. Fine, cut it. But
Which
uh,
Reason has written about for decades going back.
correct,
Please look it up.
100%.
Yeah.
That specific program and many of these programs, Reason has written about why it would be a great idea to cut them. And right now, we are producing every day suggestions for the good people at Doge. If they are looking for something that they could legally cut, we have ideas. So there is that. Highly recommend Veronique Derougy on this topic always. But also, a lot of those cuts, it was the letter M was the disappointing part, right? They were millions of dollars, and not spending millions of dollars on dumb stuff is good, but we really have problems that are in the billions and trillions, and stuff like that Social Security chunk. Listen, it's ridiculous that we can't, clean up our Social Security records, but it's 10 years ago or something, they put a rule in place that said anyone over 115 years old doesn't receive Social Security payments. So all of those many, many age brackets that he listed above that number, no one's getting cut a check. Like, there are no checks. So stopping those checks will not save any money. But I don't know. I do have this feeling of like, maybe I need to learn to take the win. Maybe I should take the win, Matt. Like, weren't you happy to hear all those cuts?
I was. It was very funny. it strikes me that take aside for a moment, like go with the taking serious and not literal or literal. I never know how that one goes. But on paper, there was a lot to dislike in that speech from my admittedly strange libertarian point of view. But on like a question of vibes and performance, it was an interesting contrast between Trump doing his kind of game show patter and Democrats who were just sitting there sourly with paddles and being let out, shaking their cane. And even Alyssa Slotkin's response was sort of sour and tight-lipped. Like Trump is offering a version of America that's kind of warts and all. It's kind of hot topic in the Mall of America, and it's kind of fun. Like there's some, say what you will about the tenets of Trumpism, but at least there's an ethos, or pathos, perhaps is the best way of looking at it. There's an emotion and a vibe associated with it that is kind of attractive, and that is and part of that is to sit up there and to make jokes, even really crude barstool sports like jokes against names of African countries. And like maybe we should do some casual colonialism against Greenland. There's something about the way that that hits politically in America that I think fancy pants commentators have yet, after 8, 9 years, wrapped their minds around. And certainly the Democratic Party hasn't come up with anything like a equally compelling type of vision, or not even vision, just sort of like a vibe that is equally attractive. So I enjoyed that whole part of it. It was 5 minutes, 10 minutes of kind of hilarity, and it was completely inconsequential. And that is classic Donald Trump. Surely, though, Catherine, there's some consequence in this address that you found of interest, good or bad.
Yeah, I mean, I think the tariff stuff is the biggest part, and this kind of like weird new colonialism, as you say, like this idea that America is going to be both, uh, bringing the joys and gifts of being an American to the people of Greenland, and also, slap reciprocal tariffs on everyone who dares cross us, except for then we're going to reverse the tariffs, except for then I guess we're going to put the tariffs back, except for then our trade representatives are going to try to say on the side that maybe we didn't really put the tariffs back. And anyway, there are going to be a lot of exceptions, and it'll be fine. Right. So that kind of flow is understandably hard for most Americans to follow. And maybe what they take away is just like, yeah, other countries are doing us dirty and we're going to get them back. And I understand why people like that. But they will not like it when every single thing that they buy costs more money. I did have mixed feelings about the like humiliation of Congress that I felt was sort of a theme of the speech, right? Like
These people sitting right here will not clap, will not stand, and certainly will not cheer for these astronomical achievements. They won't do it no matter what.
Congress, the people in that room are responsible for all of this spending that he is, looking to root out the waste and abuse from and cancel. Like they're going to do it again in like 10 days when they have to do a continuing resolution. They're going to
Exactly.
fund again all of these things that Trump is casually impounding the funds for, or using whatever technologies he has available and some that he doesn't have available. The CHIPS Act part, where he was like, oh man, the CHIPS Act was just garbage.
And we're not giving them any money. Your CHIPS Act is a horrible, horrible thing. We give hundreds of billions of dollars.
And it was like, that was a bipartisan bill that the people in this room, or a subset of the people in this room, worked hard to pass. And he's right. The CHIPS Act is garbage. That was actually one of my favorite parts, is when he was like, this was stupid and we shouldn't have done it. But just everybody just eating shit in that room, just smiling and clapping as he's like, I have taken from you even the last vestige of your ostensible power. And like, it's pretty clear they didn't want the responsibility in the first place. So maybe they're like, great, go with God. But it feels sad. It feels a little yucky.
We ran a cover story in 2008 by Gene Healy of Cato, which is an excerpt of his book, and the headline on it was "The Cult of the Presidency." And State of the Union addresses were a critical component of that. He pointed out, as many have, that at the end of the year, it used to be, report on the status of America from the head of the executive branch was written, for the most part, between George Washington and about Woodrow Wilson. Surprise, surprise. And then it became more and more of this kind of extravaganza. And as part of that, we sort of aggrandize the executive and the executive branch. Congress becomes more and more supplicant and less, I don't know, dignified, actually, is one word. I watched, thankfully, never watch anything like a cable show on these. It's always straight C-SPAN too, so you don't
You
have
just
any.
want it right into your veins. You want
Yes.
the pure stuff. Yeah.
But also like seeing the walk-ins in the room, like the kind of rictus cocaine grins on the on behalf of the Lauren Boeberts and Nancy Maces and nameless men. I can name them because they look interesting to my male eyes or something. But like all these people doing this and just like smiling and crazy, and they love it, the power, and it's, are we having a great time? And it's like, wow, that is not I don't know, lowercase r Republican in any way, shape, or form. And then meanwhile, over there, you have these Democrats who look like they just ate an entire bucket of lemons, just kind of sitting there. No matter what the president says, all of it makes Congress look like a silly kind of dog in the background. And that, the Cult of the Presidency articles in 2008, we are so much further down the road towards Congress doing nothing except sort of backbench fundraising and mugging for the cameras, and wearing, I think Marjorie Taylor Greene had a hat on saying everything that Trump says is true or something like that. It's like,
Donald Trump
no,
was right about everything, I
Donald
think.
Trump was right about everything. He wasn't. He sure wasn't. And then various little paddles and erase boards on the Democratic side. It's all unseemly, and we're not going to get back to our basic sense of constitutional self-respect and citizen self-respect unless we knock all of it off. Just stop it.
Yeah, I actually have a very clear memory in high school government class of watching um, video that was like, they like wheeled in the TV and put the tape into the VCR, and it was video of various legislative bodies from around the world. And the strongly implied takeaway from this video was, look at all these savages, like even the UK, they're shouting at each other. And then look at our distinguished and august legislative assemblies where they behave like gentlemen, and I just, you know, that came back so strongly to me as we're calling the sergeant at arms and canes are being, I mean, I guess this was only the second most dramatic incident involving a cane on that floor, as I think Robbie Suave observed last night when we were all watching the speech together. At least we didn't get to full fledged like hit him again, but you know, I am sad to relinquish the perhaps misplaced sense of superiority that we were somehow, that our Congress at least was like the grown ups in the room in a world of chaotic and shouty legislatures.
Yeah, we're not. It's not going to be like that anytime soon. Charles C.W. Cook of National Review yesterday wrote a piece saying, look, Congress can undo all of this tariff stuff, to which a lot of people rightly pointed out, like, they're not at all going to do any of that. They're not even going to start doing that. And then even if they did, it would be probably vetoed. And we live in a time where the Republicans, every Republican except Thomas Massey is going to agree with Trump no matter what happens. And that's what we live in, and it's a long road back, and it's not necessarily back to anything like perfection. But if there's going to be a Madisonian government in these United States in the 250th anniversary of our existence next year, then, which is, a side note, he stressed that a lot in 2017, didn't stress it at all this year. That's very strange. Like he was talking about the 250th, what will we be in the 250th anniversary year. I want to see more of that, Catherine. I
I
want to
know
see
you too.
I want to see more Eagles. I want to see more America high-fiving, and hopefully we'll get that at least next year.
Your journey into being a full-fledged American history dad, which
Yes.
I've been observing with joy for at least a decade, it's gonna reach its apotheosis. So the other thing that we have more and more of every time there's a major presidential address is Skutniks. We have people who are in the gallery. They are brought in They are trotted out, their tales are told. Who was your favorite or least favorite Skutnik?
So I have long been a hater on the Skutniking of Sodu. And I apologize to the world for making that phrase, because it's stop it. It's ridiculous. We're supposed to all stand and clap. It's increasingly theatrical. It is cherry picked individual stories in a country of 340 million residents, and so on and so forth. However, um, part of the game showification of the State of the Union address under Donald Trump, it must be said that he's a pretty good game show host. And bestowing a Secret Service a deputy badge on a 13-year-old cancer survivor kid was like a super awesome moment.
I am asking our new Secret Service Director, Sean Curran, to officially make you an agent of the United States Secret Service.
If you don't like that moment, I don't know what to tell you. It was pretty great, and equally like telling or like apropos of Donald Trump, how he went from this incredibly sweet moment where the kid's actually hugging the guy who just gave him his little deputy badge. It's great story. He segues seamlessly into having RFK Jr. Solve cancer, and then saying that he is the man in all of these United States to really investigate why autism diagnoses have gone up in the last 4 decades.
So we're going to find out what it is, and there's nobody better than Bobby and all of the people that are working with you. You have the best to figure out what is going on. Okay, Bobby, good luck.
A subject on which Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has probably spread the most bogus science of any human being on the planet. So you get this whole package with Donald Trump. You're going to make America healthy again. You're going to make America let's make a deal, or Price is Right again. And it's all this kind of mess. So did you have a Skutnik that you particularly loved or hated, Catherine?
I am pretty troubled by what now seems to be just an obligatory part of all major political speechifying, which is where some person stands in front of the crowd and gives like a semi-detailed account of horrific sexual violence.
Yeah.
Or like, obviously, we could do the legislating or do the lawmaking without doing the like violence porn part, and I would prefer that. Like, you could even bring in the women. Like, I agree with you, like the Skutnikification of SOTU, is that what you said?
I think so.
Is kind of probably a little out of hand, but you could even still bring in the women and say, she's a survivor and we want to help her, and here's how we're doing that, or whatever. But it's the like true crime, like nitty gritty, like
Under the bridge.
we're
I don't know.
reenacting, like
Somehow,
giving the details, and it's like that feels like it's coming from a place other than one of a kind of like wholesome and well-intentioned desire for change, and it's bipartisan, right? The Democratic Convention had a huge amount of that. I will give, I guess, Democrats credit for the fact that they more often let the women tell their own stories of being horrifically victimized. I don't know how much better that makes it. So I would like more positive, inspirational Skutniks and fewer let's relive on national television the worst moment of your life over and over for political ends. Okay, let's wrap this up. Should we go back to just having the State of the Union be a letter to Congress? Should we go even further and turn it just into a Truth Social post and call it a day? Is this speech just what we have to look forward to for the next 4 years? What can we do to make this less painful next time, I guess, is my question for you.
my interim step would be move it back to December and do it 1 week after you pass the Cromnibus. If you are still doing the Cromnibus bill, which it looks like they are, meaning it's the continuing resolution and the omnibus, it's an up or down vote. No one has actually done the legislative, budgeting that is supposed to be done, and so they're just sort of like thrown all together. Okay, so the business of Congress for that year is mostly done. And so then the president can then maybe give a report on the executive branch against the backdrop of we have completed one annual legislative season. That might just kind of remind people that there's a separation of powers. Not that anyone has a huge stake in making that reminder, but I would like to see that in the very least. What is the Catherine Meggie Ward reform?
Yeah, I think we got to go back to a letter. I just don't see there's any fix for this. And if it's a letter and then also the president gets to make TikToks about it, fine. Like, I accept that. I accept that most people only want, 62 seconds at a time of information about what's happening in the US government anyway. And this speech was more and more like a series of strung together short social media posts, right? Like it almost had the feel of like I was just like scrolling and he was like, and by the way, autism, and by the way, it was just like
Pocahontas.
So maybe we should just embrace that form, and it's the TikTok State of the Union next time.
Congratulations, America.
Thank you, Matt. Jesus Christ, it's only been 6 weeks. If you enjoyed this, check us out at the Reason Roundtable podcast. New episodes every Monday. Bye.